Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Quisha King Show. As you can see, I got new digs, okay? So we'll talk about all of that. And we're also going to be we're still talking about the attempted assassination of our former president, Donald Trump. I don't know about you, but I am just still inspired. All I can see is that fist going through, just plunging through the Secret Service, which I have issues with right now. I got questions. I know you do too. But his fist just plunging through and him saying, fight, fight, fight. And that is what we're going to be talking about. What are we fighting for exactly? We're also going to be talking about Donald Trump going to the RNC. I mean, you just get shot. Somebody tries to take your life and you get up. You address the crowd, you say fight, 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 and then you go about your business. You go about doing what you do. It's very, very, very much Donald Trump. And so we're gonna talk about the RNC, Amber Rose. Y'all already know I have beef with that. We'll get into that. Also, we want to pay our respects to the husband and father, Corey Compratore, who lost his life. Pay our respects to him, and much more coming up today on the Quisha King Show. Like I said, we still have to talk about Donald Trump and the security or the lack of security that they failed. The Secret Service, they failed Donald Trump. They failed the American people, in my opinion. And we have a statement now from Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle. And funny enough, Elon Musk tweeted, he was like, so the person who was in charge of protecting the president was guarding the Cheetos because she is the former security director at PepsiCo. Kind of funny. But in light of what we saw, not so much, not really too far off there. So this is a CNN report, but she gave a quote. She says that there was local police in that building. The local police in the area that were responsible for the outer perimeter of the building. One former Secret Service agent took issue with Cheadle placing so much blame on the local law enforcement officers. This is what they told CNN. The service is responsible for everything, not just the inner perimeter. They should make sure all of it is covered. This was Patrick Yose, the national president of the Fraternal Order of Police, defended the conduct of the local, state, and federal officers in the wake of Cheadle's comments in a pointed statement. He said, whatever happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, this was not a failure of the local, state, or federal officers on the ground who responded to the shots fired at former President Trump. They acted heroically and put their lives on the line to protect everyone at the event, and we must recognize that, Yo said. This is a failure at the management or command level who failed to secure an obvious weakness in the security of this event. Okay, cool. Here's my point. Both of them, in my opinion, are at fault because if you see the video, there are rally goers who were not inside of the rally, but they were on the outer perimeter. They saw this person, this shooter, crawling up the building with a gun. A local police officer comes in, and the shooter apparently turns his gun on him, and the officer runs away. That is a failure of the local police department. If that is in fact what happened, that is a failure of the local police department. Now, in further reading, and I've been listening to different shows, I am not a security expert. I do not, pretend to be. However, I can read and I do comprehend. So I was listening to security experts who did say that when the Secret Service comes into a town or wherever they may go, where the president or the person that they are protecting is going to be speaking, they try to exercise some type of diplomacy. Like they don't want to come in and just bogart the local or state police departments. I can understand that. I respect that. Here's the thing, though. They didn't make sure, in trying to kind of let the local police do their thing, they still didn't make sure that they did their thing properly. Obviously, maybe there could have been a Secret Service person on the roof. I don't know. I mean, I have attended 4+ Trump rallies. I've sang at 4 rallies myself, and I will tell you, as I've said before, the security at Trump rallies or any presidential rally or event is a lot. There are certain pins and stuff that they give you to make sure they know who's who. There are armed guards, Secret Service, as far as my eyes could see most of the time. Like I can literally see where there are I guess we would call them snipers, the armed guards on the roofs of buildings. Now, this is Butler, Pennsylvania. If you look at the aerial map, there's only like one building in the vicinity. Clearly, to me, as a layperson, I would say that's probably something that you might want to protect. I don't know. I'm just saying, if it were my life or my child's life, how about that? You doggone right. I would want somebody on top of the building making sure that my child is guarded, that my life would be guarded, and certainly the former president of the United States. So this is just, it is unbelievable that something like this was able to happen, where there were rally goers pointing, telling the police, telling the Secret Service, look, he's there, he's got a gun, and there's Trump. He's just up there speaking, having no clue of what is about to happen. And, these are the types of things that start conspiracy theories, because, of course, one of the first things that you're going to think of is when you try to assess how something like this happened, you're going to say to yourself, was this on purpose? Did they try to take him out? I mean, we do have, and let me be responsible with my own language. We will wait for the facts to come in. We will, but you do start to think, like, with the rhetoric that the Biden administration has had against Trump, calling him Hitler not several times, just time after time after time. When you have Biden himself saying it's time for him to be eliminated. But this type of talk is a problem. And so now that we have this, now the Democrats, we have proof of their rhetoric, their dangerous rhetoric. We, for years now, against President Trump. Now they're trying to backtrack and say, oh, but we need unity.
President Trump and his supporters have contributed to this violent rhetoric as well.
Well, absolutely, George. We were just looking back this morning at some of the things that former President Trump has said. He warned last March of potential death and destruction if he were charged by the Manhattan District Attorney. Our country is being destroyed as they tell us to be peaceful. Trump in January warned of bedlam in the country if the criminal charges against him succeeded. And of course, in March, he said, now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That will be the least of it. He said he was partly joking and that was taken out of context. But those are indeed his words. And you have heard it from supporters as well. And supporters are certainly in some parts angry. And let's remember January 6th. In so many ways for the campaign, January 6th will probably be in the background after yesterday's event. This is a very difficult time for this campaign. I'm sure this week in Milwaukee that President Trump will highlight this, and President Biden is going to have to figure out how to go forward with this campaign and what exactly they say.
It's just unquestionable at this point that that man cannot see public office again. He is not only unfit, he is destructive to our democracy, and he has to be eliminated.
I mean, how do you have unity with a guy that you just said was Hitler and that his supporters are all extremists? Like, you don't typically try to have unity with people that you think is someone who supports a Hitler type or someone who is Hitler. So what is it, Democrats? Like, is he Hitler? Is he a Hitler type that should be eliminated? Or is this someone that you actually really want to unite with? Okay, let's just be for real. We know y'all do not want to unite with Trump or any of us who support him. Because after that, y'all already know I have now become one of those people who will crawl over broken glass to vote for Trump. I was voting for him anyway, because there's no way I could vote for a Democrat. It's just not going to happen. But definitely voting for Trump. And so if all of us are, these ultra MAGA supremacists and all the things all the words that they come up to describe us now, if we're so terrible, why do you want to unite with us? Because I will tell you, I'm not trying to unite with evil people. I'm not. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not trying to. Now, I don't want anything to happen to you. Not where you no longer exist, but I do want your plans to not exist. I do want your plans to be eliminated. The plans that the left has for America, I don't want to exist. I do not. They aren't fruitful. We see what they produce. Nothing that they produce historically or currently is good. It is all terrible. It is absolutely terrible. It's like the moment Joe Biden came in office, the country just went downhill. So we've had 4 years to evaluate their plans and policies. And I don't know about you, but I dread going to the grocery store because I look at my bill and I'm like, oh my gosh, chicken is what? Eggs are what? They wanted to mandate a vaccine, force you to take a shot, force you to lose your job, your livelihood, tax you $600 if you make over $600 all up in your bank accounts and stuff. No, thank you. 80,000 new IRS agents to be all up in your biz. Why you all in my biz? That's what I want to say. Why? For what? So we can help fund their radical ideas. That's all it's for, to help fund their radical ideas. So I'm not even going to say I'm sorry. I do not want to unify with people that I don't think are good. I don't. I want to protect what is righteous, what is good. On this show, we come from a biblical worldview. And so, as a Christian, I'm always going to do my best to stand on the side of truth and what is right. And what is right and good, it is good for us to protect children, which the left does not want to do. They want to offer them up. Here, slaying them while they're still in the womb. Here, let's mutilate their healthy bodies. Here, just offer them up to any and everything. Any and everything. And I just do not. You cannot tell me that is something that we should stand behind. I don't want kids to be shown inappropriate materials, sexually explicit materials in schools. I don't want kids to see that at all, but certainly not in schools. And the Joy Reid types, they can say what they want to say, but that is exactly what is happening. We've seen it time and time again. They have an inability, it seems like, to tell the truth. This is what is happening, and I do not want an America that looks like that. Could you imagine? Just think, 10, 15, 20 years from now, all of these kids, if we don't fight to protect what is right and good, all these kids, we just let the left just have their way. We just let evil just have its way. You have these kids who are completely confused, who are now adults, who are now adults, who are, would probably be, running the elderly, the nursing homes, taking care of you now. Okay, so they fully induct. This is 20 years. We're going 20 years in the future, 20, 30 years in the future. You are in a nursing home, and the kids have totally become even further indoctrinated. They don't know who they are. They can't think. They can't read. They can't do anything. All they know is to bow and worship at the Democrat Party. Now they're leaders. They are heads of corporations. They are taking care of you in your nursing home. Is that something you want? That kid who was shown nothing but pornography in schools, they don't know how to read, they're not being taught how to do math. They think that communism is great and wonderful, and they are all full on board with a communistic plan. And they are going to be the ones taking care of you. Like, I'm sorry, I wouldn't want that for myself. I don't want that for society. I want to be able for us to come around and unite around decency, but I'm not going to unite around foolishness and evil and wickedness. I'm just not going to do it. And so the left is now, trying to play this game of, oh, we should unite. Biden is saying, well, he tried to say that we should, have these fights at the ballot box, but he couldn't say that. He kept saying at the battle box, because really a fight is on his mind. And did you guys see when he was giving a speech? It was one of the, I think it was like maybe the second one after the attempted assassination, where he's like, what we have to do is make America great again, Joe? Is that what you want to do? You want to make America great again? Just go ahead and say it. Come on. Go ahead and say it. You might as well go ahead and throw on that red MAGA hat while you're at it, okay? Because, really, really. But that is what I want to unite around. I want to unite around things that are righteous and good. So I don't believe for 1 second what the Democrats are trying to push, that they want to unite around everything good. So much so, I just have to mention it before we move on, that that show, Good Morning Joe, I think it's called, on MSNBC, with Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough, they were taken off air because the execs at NBC did not trust them to not go on there and say anything crazy. Like, it is bad when you have a major news station who has, I believe, they have like a top morning show, that the execs don't even trust them to be calm, to be rational, to be to understand the time, and to speak with to have some respect for what has happened. They didn't even trust them to do that. But we're supposed to trust them that they want unity all of a sudden. They've been saying all these crazy, even Kathy Griffin. Remember Kathy Griffin? She was holding up the head. Remember all of that? But we're supposed to believe Snoop Dogg was, pointing a gun at the former president. Remember, while he was president. Remember all of this? But no, all of that is, just in an instant. Now these people all of a sudden want to calm down the rhetoric and have unity. I'm not buying it. I'm just not buying it. But because of this heated rhetoric, and because this the temperature in politics has risen to what it is, a father, a fireman, a husband lost his life. I'm talking about Corey Compratore. He shielded his family, his wife and his daughter, while bullets were being hurled at them. Not intended for him, but intended for President Trump. But he shielded his body to protect his family. And those two things, Trump being the attempted assassination, him coming through with the fist and saying fight, and this father throwing himself over his family is, in my opinion, is some of the most American spirited people that I have witnessed in a very long time. In a very, very long time. And his daughter says, Allison Compratore, she says, the media will not tell you that he died a real life superhero. She continued, they are not going to tell you how quickly he threw my mom and I to the ground. They're not going to tell you that he shielded my body from the bullet that came at us. That was his daughter. And what she remembers about her father. And I was close to my dad, and he passed away in 2019. And I certainly view him as someone that I just really respect. He had a really difficult life growing up, but he made the most of it. He served in our United States Army. And, I think my father would have done the same thing. I think my father would have done the same thing. And so when I see these two men, Trump and Mr. Compratore, I see true American spirit. I see leadership. I see a protector in both of these men. And so, if nothing else that I think we can take away from this tragic situation is that we need real men to stand up and lead. Because typically, if there's gunshots going off and bullets are flying over your head, you're gonna run. But notice the crowd was not just like, it wasn't really chaotic. It was almost like, of course, shock, for sure, people were shocked. But when you see how calm they were and resolved they were, especially when Trump raised his fist. I know I keep talking about it because I just am so inspired. He raises his fist and he says, fight, fight, fight. The crowd just cheers. And from the reports that we have seen, there were, people were helping, the rally goers were helping people calmly get out. They were helping to assist others that were injured. It was calm. It was not chaotic, because that is what happens when you have real leadership. That's what happens. When you have real leadership, and that can't be taught what Trump did. That was instinct. That's when you're pressed and you are squeezed, that's when what's in you comes out. My fiance and I, we were talking about this the other day. Being squeezed, when the pressure is on, what is in you? What is in you? But what is in you only comes by what you put in. Like, you have to put those things in. God puts those things in you, and then you have to nurture those things and do your responsibility as a human being to hone those skills. What he did when he turned around, he got his shoes. Remember, he was like, wait. He's like, where are my shoes? Then he says, wait. And then the fist, and he says, fight. That's instinct. And you cannot teach that. And if we allow our country to just descend off into this communist, leftist utopia that will never happen, which is wicked, sounds good, but it is wicked, then you won't have men like that. You won't have men like Mr. Compratore. You won't. They will cease to exist. Because the plan of the left, those who are against what is good and what is righteous, the beautiful, the true, they don't want real men to exist. They want you to go to your nearest doctor and start cutting things off and putting other things on. So they don't want you to exist at all. I'm not even being hyperbolic. Like, that's what they plan to do. And so, men like Mr. Compratore, the former president, who I believe will win now in a landslide, they are models for what we should do when we are pressed. Hone those skills, especially men. I know I'm a lady and I'm saying this. I'm not trying to tell you what to do, men, but I'm just saying, it's something to take note of. Because where is that? Like, to me, that's that 1776 spirit right there, which ironically was started from political protest, from political defiance. That's kind of like that, that's the blood that we have running through our veins, as Americans. That's what we come from. We come from protesting. We come from saying, hell no, we're not doing that. No, thank you. We're not doing that. I will have my rights. I will fight for what is right and good. And that spirit is what I think we can certainly learn from. Okay. All right. I've gone on for so long. I'm just still so moved. And I'm not even going to promise you that I'm not going to talk about that anymore because I am still moved. But, okay. So Donald Trump picked his vice president, J.D. Vance. He is a senator out of Ohio. He didn't really support Trump in the beginning. I'm really, Trump tends to be a very, he wants a loyalty, who's loyal to him, which I get and understand. But Vance was not a supporter of Trump. He actually called him the H. Well, he said, I think he posed it as a question, is he Hitler or something like that? He didn't outright say that he was Hitler, but he certainly kind of posed the question. He hasn't said very many nice things about him in 2016, but I was there in 2016 too. And look at me now. Look at me now. I was there in 2016, 2017. I had a whole transformation. 2020, worked on the Trump campaign, ran Black Voices for Trump in my city, and voting for Trump again. So people change. People do change. And so it'll be interesting to see as we learn, they're going to certainly dig further into his background and all the things. I know he wrote a book and they turned that book into a movie. I know he's a pretty great businessman. He went to school with Vivek Ramaswamy. A little note there. He is a graduate, I believe, of Yale University. I think that's what I had. This is my new show. So we're in a new studio. We're just figuring some stuff out. So I got notes kind of everywhere. So I'm just trying to recall off the top of my head. But yeah, so he went to school with Vivek. I think it was Yale University. I think he was, or was it Harvard? I think it was Yale though. I think he was the editor for like Yale Law, whatever it is. But anyway, he's got an impressive background. We're going to talk about JD a bit more. In other things that was at the RNC, Amber Rose. Now, I have been public about my feelings about Amber Rose. And so let me say this to you once and for all. I do not care that Amber Rose chose to throw on a MAGA hat, taking pictures by the pool in a bikini with her legs spread wide open for all the world to see. I mean, is that what I want my daughter to do? I don't want my daughter to do that. I don't. I'm sorry. I don't want it. I don't. However, that wasn't my beef. She can support Donald Trump, throw on a hat, take all kind of pictures that she wants. That's her business. My problem, though, is when the RNC invited her to speak. And here's why. We're going to talk about the leadership again. So the RNC, the Republican National Convention, is an official event. Like they bang the gavel and everything, okay? The Republican National Convention is where policy platform, the policies, the platform, it is the head. It is the leadership, which you'll see where I'm going in a second. They lead every local, state, and there's only one federal party, but they lead the local and state and federal party, the Republican Party. So does the DNC. Same setup. So in an official capacity, we have Amber Rose, who literally just threw on a hat yesterday and said she's with Trump. Cool, good. Influence your audience. Go and share the message of how they've been lied to. Do all the things, do all that. I got no beef with you there. My problem, though, is when you come to speak at an official Republican event as large as the RNC. Now, I saw some comments online saying like, oh, well, we need to be spreading our message to more than people who don't already believe what we believe. Now, explain to me how Amber Rose, speaking at the RNC, is talking to people that don't agree. It's at the RNC. What are we expecting? Are Democrats coming to at the RNC? Who is at the RNC that she's supposed to be influencing that is not already in agreement with who we're nominating? Help me understand. Because y'all are posting some real stupid stuff. It's just stupid. She does not have to speak at the RNC, at the Republican National Convention, where we are officially nominating who we want to represent us in DC as president of the United States, to be an influence to her audience. She can do that. She can do that on her own time. She's been wearing the hat. She's been in these, rap videos and stuff, that's supporting Trump. Why does she have to speak at the RNC? That's my problem. And this whole we're a big tent and we're just gotta bring everybody in and we just have to allow every single thing that we don't even agree with. We just have to let it in because we gotta win. Let me tell you something. If you think that bringing someone in and their audience that they are influencing these people don't have your values. I'm sorry. Amber Rose supports Trump. She's not a conservative. She's not a Republican. Okay. She supports Trump, which I'm cool with. Fine. Good. But do you not think that this might, dilute even further a conservative message? Because the RNC is the leadership. And now she is a representative of you. Amber Rose now represents you because that's how leadership works. If the top of the organization, whatever organization that this may be, their endorsements, their acceptance, all of the things that they want to do and say, it's going to trickle down and people are going to think that, okay, this is what you believe. That's how people think that Republicans are racist and don't we're all crazy and evil and all the things. That's how that happens because there is leadership on the left who constantly says these things. That's how that happens. That's how these things get into culture. That's how these things get into society. It's how opinions and beliefs are made. Through when you start hearing something over and over, it trickles down, it starts to dilute a message, and then it becomes a norm. And I will say, if this isn't stopped, if this type of no standard, a lack of standard, that we're just going to allow any and every old thing because we want to be a big tent and we don't have any values that we stand on. If we don't stand for something, we will fall for anything. And that is the problem because we should be protective of what we believe. We should protect those things that are good and righteous. We should. It should not be open to anybody. We should be vetting those who want to come in and have a voice on our side. We are already diluted. We are already we already have a bunch of rhinos and people who really don't their actions don't prove that they really are conservative. They just don't. So instead of trying to further dilute that, I just think this would be a great time to actually build those things up. And show our children that we do have a standard, that we do have values. Because I don't see a conservative movement or a conservative party that will be able to be any different if we continue to allow people who don't hold our values to have a voice in one of the biggest policy making events in, every 4 years. And how are we going to promote the message? What is even the message then? What is the message? So those are my thoughts, and I stand 10 toes down. You can't change my mind. I'm old enough to know that is a bad decision, whether you agree with me or not. God bless you. And you can say what you want, but mark my words, if this continues, conservatism will be diluted and we won't be bold and courageous. We will eventually start to look exactly like the left. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you for sticking with me. In my new digs, we will be back on Thursday. And I'm sure we will have much more news. We got to talk about the documents case being dropped. And I'm sure we'll have some more news on J.D. Vance and all the things going on in the culture. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Mike Lindell here, and like you, I see our country being destroyed daily. We face massive economic issues, and I can tell you from firsthand experience, there are people in power who threaten the values that have made our country great. Well, I've been a believer in gold and silver for a long time, and I've searched for years for a partner that shares my values. Well, Genesis Gold Group showed me how easy it is to protect your IRA, 401k, or your retirement with gold and silver. Their faith-driven approach to service and stewardship is one that stands out from the rest.
To get your free definitive gold guide and get started learning more about investing in gold and protecting your retirement from uncertain times, visit treasureandtrust.com now. Fill out the basic contact form and a member of the team will be in touch. Again, that's treasureandtrust.com or call 855-625-7760.